should learn how to work Zoom. Appreciate Ben, appreciate everybody joining the Zoom here. It was great to be back out on the field again. First time in the shell this spring. Probably got around 85, 90 total plays, which is about a half a game for both groups. I think we made it out pretty healthy. I don't think there were any major injuries or anything of substance that took place there from an injury standpoint. I like the work today. For the first scrimmage, I thought we got a lot of good things done. These are those controlled scrimmages where we hit the different situations, and I thought there was the right kind of ebb and flow with the scrimmage where I thought both sides did some good things offensively and then did some good things defensively. The one area, coming out of the scrimmage that I share with our team is, our special teams has got to be a point of emphasis. And, I want to see our specialists show more consistency in the punt game and in our field goals, which today, wasn't to our standard. So some things to still work on. We got 2 more opportunities in the shell again next Saturday and then the spring game on April 30th to get a lot of things corrected. But it was great to see a bunch of the young players get a lot of reps and really should be some good teaching from today's scrimmage. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you, Coach. Reminder to either use the raise hand function or send me a chat if you have a question. We'll start with Sam Ostry.
Hey, Coach. Last year throughout the season, you would talk a lot about the discipline of their team, and that's something you want to see improve. How are you seeing that play out in the spring, and how are you coaching the discipline aspect moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's a word that we use around here a lot. To me, the discipline piece is about not beating yourself and limiting penalties. And, this is really the first opportunity in the scrimmage situation, though we have referees at practice each day. I think we're coming along just fine as a team. We've got kind of a veteran squad with a bunch of guys that are coming back that have played a lot of football for us, on both sides, which I think helps. But again, it's still a work in progress that we'll continue to make a point of emphasis on.
We'll go to Emily Giambavo.
Hey, I was just asked about Jacob Copeland. What are you kind of hoping he adds to that room, and how are you able to kind of get him to come to Maryland, especially given all the guys you already have there?
As I've always said, recruiting is a relationship business. And, I spent a lot of time recruiting Jacob at my previous place and came down to us in Florida, and he chose Florida. But, when you develop the relationships that we do through recruiting, those relationships aren't just for, the recruiting purposes, at least the way I recruit. And so I've always been a big fan of Jacob, followed his career there at Florida. Getting him to come here, I think him understanding the type of system we have on our offense and how we've been able to play with the multiple receivers where they all contribute to each other's success. And, his history of this offense and knowing that how we've used receivers in it and the success that receivers have from, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore here at Maryland to the Jalen Waddles and the Devontae Smiths and Jerry Judy's there at Alabama, Henry Ruggs. He's got a pretty good understanding. So I think that was the attraction for him, is with the opportunity to maybe improve himself or create a little more value for himself as a receiver as he takes the next step to go to the next level.
And just to kind of follow up, what do you hope the pass game can look like this year with Leah back, all the receivers and offensive line? What is kind of your hope there?
I would hope that we're able to efficiently throw the ball. But for us, it's about balance. And I talk about that all the time. It's if people are going to do things to take away the ability to throw the ball, we've got to be able to run it efficiently, which is something we're really making a point of emphasis this spring, is to get the complementary run game going. And today was the first time I saw us do some really good things in the run game this early, and having a veteran O-line back should really help us. But, for Leah, it's about taking that next step. The veteran receivers that have been with them for a few years now, you would imagine that we should be able to continue to improve our offensive efficiency.
We'll go to Charlotte McBride.
Hey there, Coach. You just mentioned that for Leah, it's about taking that next step. And I know he's obviously the focal point of this offense. Elaborate a little bit of what you're hoping to see from him, and just in these first few weeks of practices, what you've already seen in terms of improvements from him from last year.
Yeah, I think the big thing at the quarterback position is being able to be efficient situationally. When we go back and look at our offense, from our quality control this offseason, winning on third down, winning in the red area, limiting penalties and the turnovers are the areas that you'd like to see us take the next step. And so, for us, and as a quarterback, you're judged by how you operate in situational football. I think anybody that has seen Leah play knows that the talent is there. And I think now you'll continue to see, because of the consistency of the people that he's been able to play with over the last couple of years, there's a comfort level. But if there is any point of emphasis for us, it's his efficiency on third down, being able to sustain drives and keep us on the field with making the throws. And then in the red area, coming away with touchdowns instead of the field goals, and limiting those turnovers that came kind of at some inopportune times.
We'll go to Ahmed Gafir.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Ahmed, how are you?
Doing well. I know spring ball is not the same as fall ball, but I remember in the introductory press conference this spring, you had mentioned that this time of the year is when you're able to start seeing the new playmakers, new guys start to emerge. And through these first 9 practices, is anyone new, any of the younger guys maybe caught your eye?
Yeah, I think all those guys that just got here kind of, I've been really pleased with how they've managed it, because this is the toughest part of the program to come into. When you come into our winter workouts, our Terp time phase of our team, that's the toughest area for these young players coming in. But I like the way that they've responded and how they've handled and adapted. You look around on the defensive side, you see guys like Caleb Wheatland and Jay Sean Barham, both coming in and doing some really nice things as young players. I've been really pleased with Andre Roy and Maximus McCree, 2 of the newcomers at the offensive line position that allows us to continue to develop depth. And, I think all those young running backs, even today, seeing Antoine Littleton and Roman Hemby, as well as Kobe McDonald, those guys have really continued to show their worth to us in the run game and did some nice things. So pleased with those guys.
We'll go to Ben Dixon.
Hey, Coach. You touched on it a little before, about kind of Talia and the O-line and that continuity with them coming back. How big is that for you and your coaching staff, kind of knowing what you're going to get on that front as opposed to, being unproven coming into the spring?
Definitely something that we're excited about, not having to replace a bunch of people up front this year. What we've got to do is develop the depth that's going to be necessary. So, having a veteran group of 5-6 guys that have all played a lot of football for us up front, that experience in our system should help us be able to take that next step. And then obviously with the quarterback coming back for his third year start and being a comfort level with the receivers that'll be back with him, the tight end. I know we lost Chig, but it's been great to see the way CJ Dupree has kind of stepped up into that role at the tight end position. So definitely plus to have a veteran group of offensive linemen. I think we go about 7 deep with guys that played a lot of football last year, but then also good to have that veteran quarterback presence behind there.
We'll go to Shane Connick.
Hey, Coach. So you guys, so Corey Dyches, he came in as a freshman. He, grew a lot, became a big part of this team. Also, I know he's got a whole passion for music. What kinds of things do you have to say about Corey, just his development, and also just, how he is off the field?
Yeah, he's been one of those guys that is kind of that Swiss Army knife for us. He came in and was a big receiver. We kind of utilize him as a specialty piece in our system where we moved him to tight end to complement Chig. He's back playing some receiver for us this spring because of some of the depth issues there. Definitely a matchup issue because people have to figure out whether they want to match up and treat him as a tight end or treat him as a receiver. And he's really kind of flourished in that role, especially last year, the way he came on late in the season. As far as his off the field endeavors, really talented kid. And, I know he's got a passion for music and rap and, with our new facility here and having the ability to to have the music studio downstairs. He's one of those guys that has taken advantage of some of these things and resources that we provided. And there's no doubt that, he's been a great student athlete for us, has done really well academically. And so, I have no issues with Corey in terms of what he brings to the table as a football player, but is an even better person.
We'll go to Wes Brown.
Hey, coach. So you talk about the importance of balance, and obviously there is that that depth and that continuity in the passing game. But how does maybe having that returning offensive line and depth at the other skill positions maybe help the younger running backs and when it comes to them stepping up and being able to take on a load this year?
Yeah, the good thing is a lot of these young running backs played significant time for us. Kobe McDonald played a lot of football for us last year. And, we picked our spots with Antoine and Roman Hemby in that, we were able to preserve a red shirt year while also playing them in the bowl game, which, as I've said before, that bowl game is like the start of the 22 season for us. And both those guys played significant roles and minutes in that game against Virginia Tech. So we're looking to build on that with the young running backs. And experience we have at receiver kind of is one of the strengths of our offense. But, these young running backs, Coach Brooks has done a good job of bringing those guys along.
Does anyone have anything else for Coach?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback onto that again. You talk about how important that those bowl practices were. Obviously, your first couple of years here, you weren't able to take advantage of those. But I guess looking back on it now, how important was that time? And is there anything in particular that maybe shines at this point that maybe did in those first 2 years? And maybe how important is it to keep making that the standard?
Well, again, we've talked about that quite a bit. That anytime you get postseason play and you're able to extend your season, it affords you the opportunity to get more practice opportunities for your young players. And as we're a team that, as I like to say, is a developmental program, meaning our players are going to get better with the time they spend in our program because of how we practice and some of the things we do. And again, those 15 practices was like having an extra spring ball, which is what has allowed us to we started a little later than maybe we normally would. But it gave us more time to have the off-season program, the Turk Time program, where we could maximize getting bigger, stronger, faster. But there's no doubt the standard of being able to be a part of a postseason play, those extra practices give you a chance to develop some of the really young players in your program, as we did as we prepared for the Virginia Tech game with some of the young players that even though they redshirted, we were able to preserve the red shirt while also still playing them in a game significance like that bowl game. So it's definitely a win-win.
Anything else? All right.
Thanks, guys. Happy Easter. Have a great Easter holiday.